Welcome to Beware of Bulldogs podcast. Yeah, that was a little different. I know. We're live right now on YouTube, and we're going to slowly get the chat going and let you guys get in here. So if you're listening the day after and not live, Caleb and I are just going to share about our Sundays and kind of what went on after the Fresno football game while everybody gets in here. But Caleb, thank you so much for joining me. As always, we're going to get to the game in a sec. As everybody gets in here, what's going on, everybody? Reminder, when you get in the chat, let us know where you're watching from and what beverage you are enjoying tonight. Caleb, how was after the game and Sunday today?
Yeah, I mean, after the game was good. I mean, it was a little colder in the stadium than I expected. So it was a cold walk to the car. But yeah, overall, it was a nice Sunday, beautiful day today. I went to a friend's birthday party. It was a lot of fun, and it's overall good day. And now we're recapping, and the weeks roll on here in the football season.
Dude, it was so nice today. Yesterday, before I left the house, I put on a long sleeve shirt, and I thought, I don't need a jacket. I was cold. I had long sleeve shirt and jeans on. I was cold, man. And my brother-in-law is sitting there in shorts and a t-shirt doing fine. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I see Robert and Andrew Randall, Bulldogs Bob. They're all here. Andrew's in Layton drinking LaCroix. Randy's drinking red wine in Moore Park with spaghetti and meatballs, watching Sunday Night Football. I was watching Sunday Night Football, by the way, and I think I saw more Taylor Swift than I did football. She was on the screen every time I look over. It's unbelievable. So, anyways, all right. As everyone files in, I'm going to hit the music. Watch out, everybody. It's about to get loud and rowdy in here, and let's recap the Dogs' big win over the Nevada Wolfpack. Hello, Red Wave. Welcome to Beware of Bulldogs podcast. We're recapping the Bulldogs' big win over Nevada. Everybody's in the chat. We've been here for a little bit. If you're not in the chat, make sure you follow us on YouTube and Beware of Bulldogs and get here, because the Red Waves in the chat, we always have a good time. I mean, I see you guys having a good time in there. It's hard for us to keep up. So, and I see Robert is here from Greensboro, North Carolina. Represent. Wow, Caleb, we have to be on it now. We got people all over the country listening. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We really appreciate it. Dogs win and are now ranked 23.
24.
24. It should be 23 in the AP poll. I thought we'd get a higher ranking, honestly. Florida lost, who I think is overrated. We had a couple other teams lose, and I thought we'd jump a little higher, but whatever. That's fine. We're used to this. We're going to fly under the radar, but we're going to get to Nevada in a second. Caleb, anything on the poll that you'd like to share? I didn't see the votes. They release who voted, what media members voted. I didn't get to see it. And not that it matters, but I'm interested.
Yeah, I think I'm curious to see if maybe, obviously we play pretty late in the evening, and if a lot of voters on the East Coast, I bet most of them are just checking the box score. So I mean, maybe if it's different, if the final's 27-0 as opposed to the 27-9 final score that the game ended up being, which is kind of disappointing. I think that the defense played well enough to have a shutout, and there's just a couple unfortunate breaks there at the end that obviously we'll get into later. So yeah, I do think it's a different story if it's another shutout for the defense. But for everyone just checking the box score, it's like, oh, Nevada kept it close against Fresno State.
Right. We're gonna get to you guys in just a sec. So after every game, we put out there as soon as we can. When we get back to the car on a home game, I'll put it out there on social media. So on X at Beware_Bulldogs and on Instagram at Beware Bulldogs Podcast. And I put it out to you guys, your thoughts. So make sure you're following there. And leave us what you think, and I'm going to read them right now. So Mad Mike, he says is not Keen's best work, but it was nice to see that he can rebound after a couple of interceptions. He had 2. We're going to get to the numbers in a sec. But yeah, Mikey Keen, I thought the same thing. Not the best showing. We'll talk about that in a sec. Marshall Gallagher, defense looked good. Offense needs to figure it out. They need to make adjustments. I think that's been kind of the conversation around this team for the past couple weeks now. And this offense not looking, I would say it's not as promising as we'd like it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Benbow, our O-line needs to get better in a hurry. Our former host of this show, former co-host Michael Bliss, saw him at the game. I threatened him to get him on, but he's like, no, you guys do your thing. Defense is good at football. That's what he said. Keeping it positive. And V. Rodriguez has a statement and a question for us, Caleb. Seems like we had similar issues from when we played Arizona State. I agree, especially offensively. And then he asked, do you think Air Force deserves our spot? And you guys can respond in the chat too. Do you think Air Force deserves our spot? And I'm assuming he's talking about the AP poll.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get to watch the highlights yet, but Air Force took care of San Diego State easily, and they're pretty much dominating. Everyone. I know they've had a couple close games, but so far they are a very impressive team, and definitely. It seems like right now, if everything kind of maintains at least trajectory towards the end of the year, we're definitely looking at a Fresno State versus Air Force, conference championship matchup. So I think they deserve to be in the conversation for being ranked, and I'm sure if they win a couple more and are still undefeated, then they should be in that conversation.
Right. I don't know if they should switch. I think Bulldogs Bob makes a good point. They haven't played any Power 5 teams, and also we're projected Peach Bowl against Bama. Wowzers! That would be that would be fun. But yeah, we haven't played Air Force in a long time. I'd love to go play them, or at least get to play them at home, because I don't want to go play in Colorado. We're good. None of these high elevation places. I know if you listen to the game recap, Paul and Pat were going back and forth about the elevation in Wyoming. Well, we'll get to Wyoming soon. Real Fresno State fan. O-line needs a lot of work. Defense played lights out. Another W, time to get better and be ready for Wyoming. Another thing that keeps worrying me is why Cam didn't play. Hope everything is okay with him. We're going to talk about that in a sec. We'll get to that. He adds another thing that keeps bugging me. Can we do nothing but red at home, please? And
thank you.
Thank you. I'm all about the red. Defense, single-use plastic. Defense is an absolute sledgehammer. Offense could use more rhythm. Mikey has to learn to just throw it away instead of taking a 17-yard sack. It's easier. There's no one behind you. You can just run backwards instead of no, I don't know. We were joking about it in the stands. It's hard to watch. It's frustrating to watch because you're exactly right. Is Wyoming that much better than years past? I'm going to say yes. I saw that question in the chat. Cole says, love to see a victory. Though I'd like to see Fresno against a proven opponent. I will say Purdue beat Illinois this week. So I'll add to their resume. He adds, I haven't been impressed by Keen and our O-line. I have questions about our D despite the past few games. There has been some personnel decisions that I haven't heard answers about. And he's referring to Cam Lockridge and those things. We're going to talk about that. Excited for Wyoming. Opponent record is 4 wins, 16 losses. 2 of the wins were against FCS schools. Best opponent record is Purdue at 2-3. He just added that. Well, that'll get better when we play Wyoming.
Yeah.
And then Chris X, offense has to put the game away late, especially for the hometown fans. I want to stick around till the end. Let's talk about this, Caleb. I noticed the student section cleared out, I think, mid-third quarter. And I mean, when it It cleared out. There was hardly anybody left. Fourth quarter, the entire stadium was pretty empty. We had control of the game. I wasn't concerned at all. But what are your thoughts on the stadium emptying out that early? It's cold. I know the students got to go party, but I mean, it was a little frustrating, but at the same time, I understood it.
Yeah, I think it's everything you just mentioned. I think the cold is kind of new this season. I shouldn't that didn't make sense the way it came out. Like we're still adjusting as Fresnans to like the cold weather, this year, right? Like we're still coming off 90 degrees, and I think that's coming back here in the next week. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were unprepared and probably wanted to get home and get warm. And like you said, the game was in hand. Like I really didn't have a concern for most of this game for whether Fresno State was going to come out on top. But yeah, I definitely would have liked to see a stronger crowd stay to the end, because I mean, towards the end of the game, I mean, when our twos were in on defense and Nevada was driving down the field and ultimately scored the touchdown. I mean, we could have used a little more juice from the crowd just to kind of create that home field advantage environment that the ones got for the majority of the game before that.
Right. Drip dropping. Isn't Vegas awesome when they set the spread lines? I don't know how they do it so well. It truly is an art. If you guys did see this, is 24.5 was the spread. Dogs were the favorite, 24.5. And with 11 seconds left, I'm going to get in trouble for that one. Reno scored a touchdown and covered with 11 seconds left. And if you go look at the Fresno State football's social media comment section on their posts, it's pretty ugly from all the bettors. It's pretty good though. Tips of Soya. This team is learning to grind out wins. Wondering if they are keeping the running game quiet for next week's game in Laramie. I sure hope so. I sure hope it's us keeping it quiet.
I mean, at this point, I don't really know what or why that would be a strategy. I think having a successful run game should be part of our game plan.
And then PZ says offense is not firing like it should. Worried about the Wyoming game. Oh, and why does Teddy always wear white? It's true. I didn't think about that. That's very true.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's so that way, he stands out on the sideline. All the other coaches are wearing, usually blue if we're at home, and that way, I guess he's easier to pick out. I don't know. Maybe it's just personal preference. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out at some point.
Yeah, if we ever run into him, we need to ask him. Or if you guys ever run into him, ask him. That would be interesting. Okay, let's talk about. There were a couple comments about defensive personnel. Like Cam Lockridge wasn't out there. Dean Clark wasn't out there. However, we're going to have to talk about Brock at some point. But Dean Clark wasn't out there. Cam Lockridge wasn't out there. And then Isaiah Johnson got injured. We had Mo was getting banged up as well. I can't believe he kept going out there. He ended up getting an interception, I believe, even after the 2 injuries. But when it comes to Dean Clark and Cam Lockridge, they weren't dressed, or Cam wasn't dressed, I should say. Dean had a little injury. I believe it was game time decision, and they didn't want to put him out there. And, I think it's frustrating from the Red Wave standpoint that, we would like to know these things, or at least, I don't know if you want to say after the fact, maybe even before the fact. I know they're trying to hide some things for scouting purposes and stuff like that, and you have to do that as a coach. But with what's going on with Cam Lockridge, with him having to sit out a half due to breaking team policies, we don't know what that was, and then this happens. People are starting to question what's going on, and I think people just want answers. At least the people that I talk to, they just want answers. Do you think that that is a good thing, Caleb, that these things are under wraps within the football program and don't get out there? Because look at Arizona State. we had no idea what was going on at Arizona State because the Arizona State reporters were not allowed to say anything about this. And, that's a huge, I would say, that's an asset to have when the other team doesn't know who's going to be out there. I don't know. What are your thoughts on all of this that's going on?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I think in terms of gamesmanship, we want to give our opponents as little information as possible. So, yeah, I can understand why it wasn't published that Dean might have been dealing with something all week, and whatever the circumstance with Lockridge was, it does make sense, why the coaching staff wants to play it that way. But at the same time, it's also frustrating as a fan because we kind of can see some stuff happening on the sideline and. Obviously kind of reading some body language in terms of Lockridge. It seems like some stuff just isn't adding up there. So, I mean, for his sake, I hope it is just a minor injury and he's able to bounce back, this next week because he's definitely a valuable part of this defense. And, there were a couple plays where Hamilton got beat. I know got kind of lucky on one. It was a deep ball down the sideline, and thankfully it was overthrown. But the guy still got a hand on it. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's something happening there, and obviously we don't know what's going on. So if we do figure out what's going on, we'll let you know if we're able to. But yeah, it just seems like I don't know. Stuff is being held under wraps, which we do understand, but it is frustrating.
Would you just have the coaches come out and say, "Not going to say anything. Sorry, we can't say anything." Rather than say something, and then now I'm kind of suspicious. Do I trust this person? What exactly is going on? They have the right to say whatever they want, but now should I believe this person? I would just have them come out and say, "Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about it."
Right. Yeah, I think I would appreciate that. Okay, at least you're giving me a straight answer that you aren't going to answer my question instead of just kind of dancing around it.
Right. All right, we're going to get to numbers right now, Caleb, but first we got an ad read, by the way, from a new sponsor. So shout out to Eastie's Wood Shop, a new sponsor on Beware of Bulldogs. Eastie's Wood Shop, that's East YS Wood Shop. You wanting to give a personalized gift this holiday season, check out easties-woodshop.com for quality personalized gifts and games. They'll do it all, and they'll put names, logos, whatever you want on there. They're great for wedding gifts, corporate thank yous, holiday gifts, whatever you want. And if you don't see something you like, you can send them a message and they'll work with you and do whatever you like, or whatever they can do, they're going to get it. They're going to work with you. And they have a special deal for Beware of Bulldogs listeners. Use code BEWARE. That's promo code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. So head over to easties-woodshop.com for quality personalized gifts and or for loved ones, whatever. You get 15% off using code BEWARE. So thank you, Eastie's Woodshop, for your support. All right, Caleb, let's look at some numbers from the game. By the way, final score 27-9. That backdoor cover with 11 seconds left. Let's start with Mikey Keene. So a lot of people were a little hesitant to say good game from Keene. They want to see more. Mikey Keene, 26 for 34, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, was also sacked twice. And I am going to blame one of them on the one where he ran around in the back and lost a bunch of yards. Overall, I'll let you start on this one. What did you think of Mikey Keene's play this game?
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. The 2 interceptions, I mean, the one that he forced, to Watson on the sideline, that was a ill-advised throw. The other one on the deeper ball just kind of had too much air on it. I don't know. Obviously, it was a good play by the defensive back to come in and make a good catch and stay in bounds. But I definitely still would like to see a little bit cleaner of a day from Mikey, and especially in a close game where the offense isn't pulling away. Having turnovers like that is definitely costly to where, Nevada's offense really wasn't able to do much on the day, but, kind of giving them, decent field position is, not what we want to be doing there. So, overall, it was good. He did make some good throws, but yeah, what wasn't the sharpest day for at least offense as a whole. I mean, most of the yardage and scoring came on a couple big chunk plays, and so if you take those out, the stats still a little bit different of a story.
Yeah. I think the next step for Keene is to become familiar with the playbook, because you can see a lot of things that could possibly be open before they snap the ball. We ran a lot of trips and bunch formations, and you can tell when they're in zone and they run motion, and you, as a quarterback, you should be paying attention to that. And I think there should be checks. An experienced quarterback who understands the playbook and things like that can make checks to something that gets us open. When they're not matching up, I would say, this is what I like. Let me put it this way. When we have three guys on one side of the field in trips and they have two guys over there and a safety over the top, one person is going to be open. Like if run a flood concept or something like that. I like to see a check to that. But also, I will add that Mikey and the wide receivers don't seem to be on time with their timing is just a little bit off. So I want to see Mikey hit them right out of the break on a slant route, on an out route, whatever that is. That ball needs to come out immediately now. And I said this last week, and we're going to talk about it until it's fixed, is that the O-line does not give him a ton of time. So it's hard for him to get the ball out quick. Let me say that it's hard for him to take a full 3-step drop and step into the throw and get it out on their break. He's got to get it out really quick. So, it's interesting to me. He's a little late on their breaks. For example, the first interception happened right in front of me. Trey Watson was open, but he was flushed out of the pocket. Mikey Keene was flushed out of the pocket, and Trey Watson was being held. I mean, it was bad. I mean, you see couples in high school and things like that holding hands all day long. They walk around just holding it. It was worse than that. It was bad. So, but they didn't call it. And he forced that throw. Trey Watson he missed him when he was open. He wasn't open at that time. Just throw it away. Those are things we need to, when we throw it away. So it's the little things like that need to be fixed. That's going to happen with understanding of the playbook and timing with wide receivers. So, and an O-line that can give him enough time to take a 3-step drop and step into his throw. So, there's a lot that needs to go on, but I think that's the main thing. The other thing is, I don't know if everyone saw this, but if you watch Eric Brooks, they were holding him most of the time. He burned them. But yeah, when did Nevada not hold last night? I think is Robert saying. Yeah, they held our wide receivers all the time. It was I'm not making excuses. That did happen. So it's interesting. There needs to be a lot of work. I think it can get done, but it needs to be a collective team effort, and they need to stay after practice and keep going, keep working on it. And that it's going to take time. Remember, Mikey is young. He's redshirt sophomore? He's young. All right, let's look at the running game. We can talk all day about quarterback play, or at least I could. Malik Sherrod, 12 carries, 123 yards and a touchdown. Out of those 123 yards, he had that 72-yard insane run. He got tackled, and I turned to my brother to talk to him, and all of a sudden he's at the 20. Okay. Elijah Gilliam got 9 carries for 38 yards, no touchdowns there. And then Mikey Keene was credited in his rushing stats for 3 carries for negative 20 yards. So give me your thoughts on Malik and Elijah and the running game. So we'll talk about the O-line that is a part of that.
So Sherrod looked to be back to pretty close to full health. I mean, he looked good. He was quick. And so I think that's good and kind of surprising, in terms of workload. It was Gilliam to kind of start the game and then kind of flipped, and it was Sherrod for the bulk of the game, with I think him kind of being favored with more carries. Obviously, that's shown in the stat sheet. So it was good to see Sherrod back, and good heads up play by him on that touchdown run. With not getting down and playing till the whistle, and the whistle wasn't blown, so he kept running. So that was good to see. But yeah, overall, pretty unimpressive day running the ball. I mean, if you take out that 72-yarder, I mean, the Dogs are doing some math here, 70 rushing yards, without that. So, that's really not where this team should be, especially against a team like Nevada. Obviously they played hard, but I mean, there's a reason why they've lost 13, 14 games in a row going back to last season. They just aren't a competitive team right now in Mountain West play. And, the Dogs should have dominated better running the ball. So a little bit frustrating. And, the big run kind of, padded the stats to make it a little bit more respectable. But overall, good to see Sherrod back. I did see him pick up a couple, blitzes. So I think he is showing an ability to help in the pass blocking game. So that's good too, because, I mean, the O-line needs all the help they can get.
I was thinking about this last week, and I wanted to watch one more game to see to finish my thought process on this, and tell me what you think about this, Caleb, and you guys tell me what you think as well. With a poor run blocking offensive line, I'm starting to feel as though I'd rather have Sherrod out there because he can hit the hole a little quicker. As much as I love Gilliam, and I love Elijah Gilliam and the way he runs the ball, I think it's going to be easier to get yards if you're giving the ball to Sherrod, who can hit the hole quicker, because that hole's going to be open only for a second with this O-line as of right now. So I think that's why we're seeing a little bit more success with Sherrod in the game. Now, I will say both running backs were met at the line of scrimmage by the defense, and that is not good. We're not getting a push at all. Either we got met at the line of scrimmage or 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, like when the safety happened with Elijah Gilliam. By the way, everyone knew they're going to run the ball. We got to do something else when we're, at the our goal line or opposite goal line. I
was really disappointed with that call. It seemed like, obviously that was the fourth quarter at that point, and the offensive line just had not been able to basically guarantee a 2-yard gain on a running play. So to me, that needed to just be a quick throw, get 4 yards, to Jalen Moss on the edge or Magdalena on the edge, and just kind of get a little bit more breathing room. So yeah, I was not happy with that call. I mean, it was conservative because you figure, well, I don't want to throw a pick six here, but I mean, then you end up giving up 2 points on the ball. So yeah, I did not like that call.
Yeah, interesting to see what happens. Bob, I have not posted Caleb's dancing on YouTube. I am very sorry. I'm going to put it up as a YouTube short, though, either tonight or tomorrow. I am going to do that. Let me just tell everyone this. I have an Android, and Caleb has an iPhone. So when we send photos and videos back to each other, it's like my internet, probably how you guys are seeing me right now. It's just one big blurry mess. So he sent it over to me, though, and I'm going to get that up ASAP. Okay. By the way, Caleb, I don't know if you saw, Chris apologizes for hunting you down, yelling at you on Saturday. So,
that was good. I'm glad that Chris said something. It was good to meet him. Chris Lake out there. I don't know if he's in the chat or not, but yeah, it was a good time, and I appreciate when people do yell at us and introduce themselves, and I mean, we still are shocked that people like listening to us talk about Fresno State football. So
I don't know if they like listening to us, Caleb. It's just that there's a lack of Fresno State content out there, so they're forced to, So.
Well, regardless, we appreciate all the listeners, and yeah, if you do see us, definitely holler at us because we would love to chat.
Yeah, we like talking Fresno State, as you could tell. All right, let's talk about receiving. Jalen Gill, big game, 8 receptions, 126, 2 tutties, and a long of 65, which was nice to see because I think we've seen that burst of speed maybe once this year. It was nice to see it again. It's like when you play golf and you finally par on the last hole, and then like, okay, I got to come back again. And I'm like, all right, Jalen Gill's back, baby. He's here. Eric Brooks, only 2 receptions for 37 yards. Jalen Moss, 4 receptions for 33. Magdalena, 4 for 25. Malik Sherrod had 3 for 18. Josiah Freeman, 2 for 15. Tim Greer had 1 for 13. And Trey Watson had 2 receptions for 2 yards. And those 2 receptions were force-fed on tight end screens. It was interesting, but anyways, it was nice to see a lot of guys get involved. We are loaded at that position. I think we're very deep and good catches. There at no point in this game was I thinking, oh, we should have caught that ball. Maybe you guys can remind me of one, but it's fine. I thought the wide receiver core did well. We just got to get the ball to them on time and, throw them open.
Yeah. And I think that I was getting frustrated of just, it just seemed like play calling again was kind of slipping a little bit. And it seemed like, the simple plays, just like the short crossing routes were open and, you can hit a guy for 5. And if he breaks a tackle, then, maybe it's, 10 or 12 yards. So it seemed like that was where a lot of the success was. And especially with Jalen Gill, I mean, he caught a handful of those just run across the middle and, getting, a decent chunk plays. So yeah, I would like to see that. It seems like with the condition of the offensive line, we just need to keep it simple at this point. And I think we've said that a couple of times so far this season. Just hit the short throws and just pick up yards, and that'll help build the momentum. And then when we go away from that, and that's where some of the problems start happening. But yeah, overall, really good with Jalen Gill's performance, especially following up a big performance last week from the other Jalen Moss. So yeah, good to see that he is a valuable weapon there for the offense. And I know we got a comment here that he's valuable coming out of the backfield too, which I do think is a nice little wrinkle that similar to Nico last year a little bit, with kind of lining up in a running back position. So overall, very happy with how the wide receivers played. And I didn't notice so much of the holding on Brooks, but now that you mentioned that, I guess that makes sense, because I was just thinking like, man, like Brooks just is not really getting the targets this game. But if he was getting held, I didn't really notice it. So that would make sense then.
When they manned up on Brooks, he was open every time. And they didn't do it often, but he was open a lot. They do what I think we're going to get from a lot of teams are a lot of zone blitzes. I mean, we saw it from Arizona State. I think we saw a couple of times from Nevada, and it's been successful. And, and they're not going to be, from what I've seen, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. They're not late. Every once in a while, a linebacker will wait a second and then go, or safety will. They haven't been like that. Their zone concepts, full out blitz. Let's get to Mikey Keene. Let's force him to get out of the pocket, because we haven't seen much that Mikey can do on the run. And that forces Mikey to miss guys that are open. So, but at the same time, that's why we've been successful in the short passing game, when we load certain zones and get the ball out right away. So I don't know, it's been interesting. I'm curious to see what Wyoming does, and I can't wait to hear what our get to know guest says about this, because they have a very good defense. We're 5 games in. There's plenty of film on both teams. It's going to be very interesting to see how, this chess game is being played.
Mm-hmm. So here's a good question from the chat. Is the Purdue game the standard for this Fresno State offense? Like, is anything less than that, not, Fresno State's full capability on offense?
Oh man, that's a good question. I would say yes, actually. Now I will say week 1 is where all the surprises happen, because you don't know exactly what you're going to get from either team in week 1, from any team in week 1. You have an idea, but you don't know. So I think Purdue was caught off guard, but I did enjoy the variety of play calling in the Purdue game. I think we saw Mikey keep the ball a couple times on some read option deals, on some RPOs stuff. I liked, I thought Kent State was fine. I mean, we scored 53 points. That's not bad, but But from a play calling standpoint, I'm going to say yes for the Purdue game as a standard.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I'll pretty much echo all your comments there. But yeah, in terms of a decent opponent and really utilizing running the ball and throwing the ball, I think it was a good standard to try to meet each week. Um, and I did have another question for you because this was kind of a unique game too, where the Dogs weren't really in the red zone that much on offense. When you score from you have a 72-yarder and a 60-yarder, and couple field goals from long range. We did score one touchdown, the second Jalen Gill touchdown, in the red zone, but it's kind of a bizarre game. I mean, did you read anything into that maybe because of the turnovers, those drives didn't, pan out? I don't know, just kind of an interesting thing to mention.
I didn't really think about it. My uncle who was with us said Nevada must have had a talk and said, if we're going to lose, we're going to get beat long or big plays, 50 plus. That's it. I didn't think much into it. I think it's just some things broke open for us and our guys made good plays. And I mean, our guys are better athletes than theirs, plain and simple. And our coaches put them in the best positions. Robert Perez had a question. He says, I'm interested to know how the coaching staff are helping the O-line get better. I just don't see them improving at all. No, with a new offensive line coach, I think it does take some time. With a new offensive coordinator, there's new terminology. I would guess. I don't know though, because sometimes when you have a coach like Tedford, your OC comes in and Tedford kind of, hands him, here you go. Here's my car, but I'm giving you the keys. But this is how it runs. So I'm not too sure. I think we give Coach Army, we got to give him at least 2 years, in my opinion, as college coaches. But I will say, with the transfer portal, things get a lot more dicey for coaches. I don't know. I don't know if I'm cutting in and out, Caleb. Sorry about that.
No,
Andy Zonneville. Andy says, family or football, November 4th. I got a wedding. Caleb, you answer that one. I'm not taking responsibility for that.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I mean, well, we say faith, family, football. So I think in that situation, you would have to go to the wedding.
Oh man! All right. Before we get to defense, the defense has been phenomenal. They've been protecting our house. Caleb, tell me about Managex and how they can help everybody protect their house, their apartment, their land.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, can definitely help protect assets. That's for sure. So, Managex is a full service property management company. So they service Fresno and Clovis, and property type of single family homes, small apartments, office and industrial properties. So if you're a landlord in the area and you need some help, dealing with tenants and whatnot, definitely, consider Managex. You can go to their website, managex.net, to get in contact with them and, have more of your questions answered. And big supporters of Beware Bulldogs and Fresno State Athletics.
All right. Thank you, Managex. All right, Caleb, let's talk defense. Defense looked good all night. The only time I was worried was the very first drive, a 9-minute drive by Nevada. Oh I think they went for like 40 yards. It took them 9 minutes to do that. Well, they had some penalties that hurt them in the last series, but my goodness, that was long. And that it reminded me of if we play a Wyoming, an Air Force, that's what's going to happen. But the defense held their own. They did well that first drive, and they forced them to punt. But what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about our defense in this game on Saturday?
Yeah, the defense just kept doing what they've been doing and just playing really sound football. And even in the second half, it seems like there was a bit of an adjustment too with, bringing additional pressure. And that's where, Cam Brockett really stepped up and had an excellent game, filling in for Dean Clark. Just a really big game for, the transfer, from Fresno City College, local kid. So that was really good to see. What was that?
Sorry, pipeline.
Yeah, exactly. Pipeline's cool for sure. But yeah, I mean, we're really pleased with how these guys are fighting. I mean, if you're watching the defense on the sideline, I mean, they are like the more energetic group for sure. I mean, they're like jumping and yelling, and I mean, like Carlton Johnson and Maurice Norris are just running all over the place and like firing the defense up. So they're a really fun group to watch. And even kind of listening to the post game interviews, Braca kind of echoed that, just saying like everyone was encouraging him to just go and play the best game that he's ever had. So I think that it's a really fun unit, and it seems like they really love doing what they're doing. So overall, I feel really good about this defense, and hopefully this experience was useful for some of the reserves that got to play, especially in the absence of Lockridge and Dean Clark. So yeah, overall, it's only going to get tougher. We got some good teams here coming on the schedule, but yeah, overall, really pleased with how this group played.
Yeah, I was really happy about the defense. And you talk about Carlton and Mo. A lot of the times, I don't know if you noticed, Kale, but the corners, they just lined up on the same side of the field. They were just playing on one side of the field. Carlton was on my side of the field that I was on, and that was the Nevada sideline. And he was talking so much smack. I thought it was great. It was it was a lot. And a lot of hand motion or gestures towards the sideline and things like that. It was a lot of fun. He kept the game entertaining. And that I paid for a ticket. I want to be entertained. Carlton entertained me on the defensive side of the ball, as well as Cameron Braca. Braca was a beast. My brother and uncle were, I don't know if this is good, but they meant it as a compliment. And I'm going to do this, and I apologize for this, everyone. But they now call Cameron Braca. That's what they do, like a chicken. Braca, okay, it's fine. I don't know if that's a compliment, but they love him, and they loved it. And they were just dying laughing. It might have been the beer they were drinking. I don't know. We only have Bud Light products in the stadium. So, anyways, the linebacker core. We were on Gabe Camarillo's show, and I picked my breakout player to be Raymond Scott during conference play. I really liked what I saw from him. Of course, what we got from Lavelle, he led the team in tackles. Malachi Langley has been solid. He's there. He's not making these crazy plays, but it's almost, it's one of those things like if you're not like special teams, if you're not being talked about, he's doing good things. He's doing nothing bad. That's what I'll say about Malachi Langley. He's just solid.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. We talked to, or on a get to know episode, when we talked to John, he said that our pass pro is our strength. And I agreed with him after that game. We could not create pressure just by sending our D line, our three and 4-man fronts. We had the blitz off the edge, and we did a great job. But they did a decent job on pass pro just against the D line.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Oh yeah, I agree. The Dogs had to bring a lot of heat in order to really get the hurries and the sacks, tackles for loss on the Nevada quarterback. So I'm glad that there was an adjustment made because the second quarterback that came in for Nevada was he could not throw the ball. I mean, he was throwing grounders to all the receivers, and he was getting hit. So he definitely wasn't as good as the starter that was in there for the majority of the game. But yeah, I mean, it was good to see a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I know who was it? Holmes, Jacob Holmes, his sack and forced fumble late in the second half was just a huge hit. And I mean, it was frustrating too because like Maurice missed like 2 sacks, or he just like ran right past the quarterback and just like kind of got an arm on him. And so it seems like the stat numbers could have the sack numbers could have been even better, but just some of the DBs that were blitzing in just were not quite accurate on their tackle attempts. But yeah, overall huge stat day for tackles for loss.
Yeah, I believe we had 7 sacks on this game. big time. And you could feel them from the stands. It looked like they hurt. Our boys are hitting them hard. Carlton Johnson had a pick. Maurice Norris had a pick. Those were our 2 interceptions and the forced fumble. I was happy to see that because I don't believe we had any turnovers last game against Kent State, even though we scored 53 points. So we get back in business, force some turnovers after we forced 8 against Arizona State. Now we forced 3, I believe. Right. So I was really happy from what I saw with this defense. And I think this is the momentum we want to have going into Wyoming, who I think is going to be probably our toughest test. I mean, there's something to be said about Boise. By the way, I don't know if you saw the report, but there's talks now that Taylon Green might get benched. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. I read that article today. But yeah, and then we scored 53 points against Kent State. So now, Kent State, probably the most solid game that we put together. Now, we really got to put it together now for Wyoming. And our defense has put multiple games, 3 games in a row now, where they look really good. They're scary, man. They are scary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, before we get to special teams, and then we're going to get to our play of the game and our player of the game, I got to get to our next sponsor. That is the Vine Church in Fresno. So the Vine Church of Fresno is located on Shaw, just west of Grantland. If you're looking to strengthen your community, join a community or support group, come on out. Sundays, 10 a.m. That's the Vine Church on Shaw, just west of Grantland. My wife and I attend there. We have a great time. People are so kind and welcoming. And we have potlucks once a month, by the way. So come on out, have some food. All you need is yourself. I'm adding this, by the way, if you want to come to church, you don't have to get your life in order to come to church. It's just like taking a shower. You don't take a shower to get in the shower. You're dirty. Just get in the shower. So just come on out and let me know if you're coming. I'm happy to meet you there. So big thank you to the Vine Church in Fresno. Big supporters of Boyer Bulldogs and Fresno State athletics. All right, Caleb, let's talk about special teams right now. There was, I say, some good things and some bad things. We'll just put it that way. Good things and bad things about special teams. I'll let you take it over.
Yeah, it seemed like this was a bit of a step back in terms of just overall execution on special teams. I mean, starting with kickoffs, I mean, I don't know if this is something that they're, trying to do with like not kicking touchbacks. I mean, Dylan Lynch has shown that he is capable of just kicking it through the end zone, or at least deep in the end zone. And I mean, several of his kicks were, coming in at, the 5 or 10 yard line. And, thankfully the one kick that Nevada took back was called back for holding. But I mean, overall, I just can't figure out why you wouldn't just kick it through and just eliminate that possibility of, a kickoff touchdown.
I'm totally on that bandwagon, dude. I mean, we finally got Carson to just boot it. I'm enjoying watching Carson kick the ball. Now I feel like something was said to Dylan, from the coaching staff. I heard them say a couple things like we're trying to pin him at the cone, right in the end zone, like 1 yard into the end zone at the cone. I don't know if it seemed like that changed. I don't know what's going on now. And they took one back all the way. Luckily, we got a holding call and on Nevada, and they had to bring him back. But yeah, that was rough. Other than that, though, field goal kicking was good. Dylan Lynch was perfect. Did I miss something?
He missed one late. It was in the fourth quarter. So left hash is still a challenge for Dylan. So I mean, he was 2 for 3 and made a couple long ones. But yeah, I mean, 2 for 3 is good enough. I mean, I'm not complaining too much there. But
when you're up, yeah.
Exactly. So, and then on, returning punts too. I mean, Eric Brooks, fumbled 2 and, thankfully recovered them both. But I mean, that doesn't give you confidence when, you don't have a sure-handed guy back there. And, the coaching staff was saying that, Brooks was, a little banged up in the game. I think they said on the punt return. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, looking back to, just the always a fair catch on punt return, it is looking better when you do have, a couple scares like that. So yeah, definitely some special teams, issues to clean up going forward.
Yeah, it was a little rough to watch. But I am happy for Carson. He's figuring out, and who somebody Robert says Carson's only had one punt in the last 2 games. Robert
True.
Beeler. So that's very true. And yeah, I mean, with Baxter as coach, I mean, it's interesting to see what's going on. But I think our boys will figure it out. It's going to get worse, though, if we're in a tight game. These things will stand out more. So they're going to have to figure it out quick because the tough teams on our schedule are coming up. So they have to figure it out. Yeah, Bulldogs Bob wasn't surprised Brooks muffed that punt. He saw it coming in the first half. Yeah, you could see him bobbling the ball every once in a while. I don't know if he was scared or what, but very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if Brooks is not back there next game. But let's just secure the punt and then let our offense go to work. I mean, we've started slow, but hey, let's go. It's a game of field position, and if we're muffing punts and that's their longest play of the game, that is not very good. So, anyways, let's talk about the 2 big plays. So we had Jalen Gill down the sideline. Was it like a swing pass sort of deal? And he took off. And then we had the Malik Sherrod run. Is there any other play that you would give play of the game? Because I'm looking you don't have to give me your play of the game yet, but I'm trying to think through the play of the games, and everybody in the chat, let me know what your play of the game was. But any other plays that come to mind when we talk about play of the game, and then we'll pick. But so those 2 plays come to mind, and then anything else?
For me, those are really the only 2 candidates on offense. Defense had, a handful of standout plays too. But yeah, at least on offense, those are pretty much the only ones that, come to mind.
Okay. Any defensive plays that come to mind?
So I think the Jacob Holmes hit and sack, forced fumble was just a huge hit and electric, and poor guy didn't see it coming, just got drilled in the back. So I mean that was electric. I know that he was fired up, and the quarterback ended up recovering his own fumble. But either that or the Carlton Johnson interception. I mean, he made a really good play along the sideline. But then that set up the safety, so that kind of wasn't a great play because of that. So, yeah, those are probably my 2 I'm considering on defense.
Okay, well, while you think about it to make your pick, when I get hit really hard, I got to drink wine, and so another sponsor for Beware of Bulls is Giveli Winery. That's Giveli spelled Ziveli, located in Biola, small town of Biola. You blink and you miss it. And they're on Biola, just north of Shaw. Local wine, local grapes. Everything's done in-house there. They're open Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 5. And on weekdays, by appointment only. I ran into a listener, and he's in the chat. I see him right now, Chris Lake, at the winery the other day. We had a good time. So come on by. Let us know you're stopping by, and I'll be sure. I don't live too far away. I can get over there. Caleb, you might have a tougher time, but that's Giveli Winery in Biola, located on Biola, just north of Shaw. They also have brick oven pizza, and it's wood fire brick oven pizza, not gas. Wood fire brick oven pizza, and they use almond wood. So there you go. There's the secret to their pizza. All right. So thank you, Giveli. Trying to do a better job of thanking our sponsors, Caleb. Thank you, Giveli. They're big supporters of Beware Bulldogs and the athletic program. All right. Caleb, give me one play for your Beware Bulldogs play of the game. And people are helping you out in the chat. if you need to look.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do need to give credit to Mendoza D85 for his comment because that is kind of swaying me. He said offense doesn't deserve player of the game, so I think that's a good point. So I'm gonna go with probably like my favorite player of the game was the Jacob Holmes sack forced fumble, just a big
Okay.
hit and just got the defense fired up, and so. Um, I could have said any of the other 6 sacks that game, especially Cam Brocka. I mean, him flying in on the edge were just exciting plays, and especially his story too with coming in this season and being local. So, but the Holmes play that was my favorite play of the game.
I'm going to give it to Sherrod and his 72-yard run. Didn't give up. I mean, I missed half the play because I turned to talk to people, but it's a great play, heads up play by Malik Sherrod, and to get on the board early in the game there, I thought was key. So I'm going to give it to Malik Sherrod, play of the game. All right, Caleb, now we're going to give out our Blair Bulldogs player of the game. But before we do that, I got to thank Flora Flower Co. Flora Flower Co. is a local flower shop that's modern and unique. They support local flower growers. It's your one-stop shop for gifts. Flowers. They have other things for loved ones as well. Their store hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Shepherd and Willow. That's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday on Shepherd and Willow. There's an in-house florist that will help you create something special, because for people like me who are not creative at all, I really need that. So that's huge. You can also order your flowers online, and you can use code Fresno15 for 15% off your purchase. And that lets them know that Beware of Bulldogs sent you. They also have subscription services, and if you sign up for a subscription, you get free delivery. So use code Fresno15 at checkout for 15% off at Flora Flower Co. Big supporter of the Bulldogs and Beware of Bulldogs. So thank you, Flora. All right, Caleb, player of the game. Who's it going to be? We've talked about the struggles on offense. We talked about how impactful defense has been the past 3-4 games. What do you think? Who's it going to be?
Yeah, there's definitely a handful of candidates on defense, and I do want to mention Maurice Norris, because when he was out for a handful of plays and his backup was in there was immediately success on offense for Nevada, because Maurice was doing a good job of containing on the outside, because he was blitzing a lot, and he was kind of containing the quarterback and not letting him get outside, and he just played really solid coverage, got an interception, got a couple sacks. So I think I'm going to go with Maurice Norris, which is surprising. Statistically, he didn't jump out off the page there, but I was just watching him playing, and he was definitely valuable out there for this defense. And so yeah, I'm going Maurice Norris.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I thought Mo was very tough this game, and he had to be pulled out twice and be checked on, and he's a stud. I see a lot of Jalen Gill in the chat. I see Cam Brocka, and that's who I'm going to go with. I'm going with Cam Brocka, because now I'll say Cam Brocka didn't have an interception. He didn't lead the team in tackles, but he had a couple huge hits. He had a sack, and I love the fact that we are searching for a safety right now to put next to Dean Clark. And granted, he was kind of playing Dean Clark's position, that safety, but he's going to be able to do both. And this game could solidify him as that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had success with him and Comstock in, which I didn't know how that was going to work. When you see two white safeties, you think these guys can hit really hard, but are we going to be able to run with all the wide receivers? They did fine. And I really liked what I saw from Brocka. And, when you hear the stories that Cam Brocka has, or his story, and he's a local kid, goes to Fresno City, and he's here, you can't help but feel for the guy, and a huge fan. I want a Brocka jersey now. So I'm going with Cam Braca. His coming out party was was yesterday, and I'm really excited. And there's a question: do we see Cam Braca and Dean Clark next week against Wyoming? I don't know. I would say yes. After this game, I would say yes, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the first 4 games, the consistent there was Dean Clark, playing the whole game, and the other safety position, pretty much 4 guys getting rotated in there. We didn't mention, I think Kosi Aguina was hurt this game too, so he didn't get any looks there at safety. But yeah, I mean, with Comstock rotating with Braca and with Krishan Gordon, who was also a big playmaker in this game too. I mean, I think those guys are pretty much all going to be rotating in. So I don't know. Obviously Braca had a huge game, but I don't know if that's enough to get Comstock out of there. I think they're still going to be kind of rotating in.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what goes on this week. Our toughest test against Wyoming. We're going to have a preview and a get to know for you guys this week. I did want to mention there were over 50 recruits at the game. And I believe the last game there was I think 100 recruits. Yeah. Insanity. So in 2 games we've had over 150 recruits at former Bulldog Stadium. Unbelievable. The coaches are doing something right, and they're very likable guys. If you've ever met them, very likable, a lot of fun. They're doing a good job, and the team is winning, which helps big time. Not to mention we have taken the Valley back with this coaching staff. I think every high school football player here, if they get a scholarship from Fresno State, they have to consider us now. So there was another thing. Oh, no. AP poll 24. We mentioned that. So we're moving up, and all that matters is winning games, though. Let's go to Wyoming and beat the game. Beat them. I saw a comment asking if we're going to Wyoming. I'm not going to Wyoming. Caleb, are you going to Wyoming?
I am not going.
Okay, no, we're not going.
But we will be able to watch on Fox because our game was picked or bumped up to be the primetime game of the night. So take that Big 12. I think it was the other option was TCU and Iowa State. So I mean that's another kind of big step for our conference, and I mean that's what happens when we put good teams on the field. So yeah, I think 5:00 is the kickoff time, so a little bit earlier for us, and yeah, primetime matchup on over the air.
Yep. Yeah, Timmy B is calling, so we might have to reach out to Timmy B, see if we can get him back on. That'd be fun. Yeah, he makes everyone's life very easy. That dude knows how to talk for sure. And we love him. He's great. And you guys don't miss DeRuta recruiting Texas? No. Your thoughts on the small blackout in the stadium? Caleb, did you see the small blackout in the stadium?
Yeah, kind of weird. Lights went off for, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds. But,
I was thinking people wearing black. Oh, sorry.
No. I mean, thankfully it wasn't in the middle of a play, so that was good. But yeah, I mean, now it's new LED lights and they come on immediately. I mean, back in the old days, I mean, those lights took like 5 minutes to fire up. So yeah.
Yeah, it was exactly at 10:00. I am 99.99% sure they were on a timer and they forgot to change it. So, I mean, right when that clock hit 10, they went out. So, I mean, I got a family that doesn't enjoy staying late for games. There's my argument to the school for moving the time up instead of 7:30 TV games where there's a 2-minute, 30-second media timeout every literal minute. It's, oh my gosh, unbelievable. But anyways, Chris says, please keep that name off this podcast. Sorry. Yes. We usually refer to him as the man who must not be named. Our bad. We'll take ownership of that one. All right. We will get out of here. You guys have a great rest of the week. We'll see you on Thursday for sure. We will have our preview for just Caleb and I, and I'm working on a guest for the preview, by the way. And then whenever our get to know co-host for the week can come on, we'll get that out to you guys as soon as possible. Thank you so much for all your support. Love you guys. You guys make this very easy and fun. Go Dogs. Let's go beat, what are they? The Pokes Cowboys. They can't even decide on a mascot over there. They don't even know. All right. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you guys. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.